How much money would you like to win with live poker this year? Well, whatever the number is that you just thought about, I would challenge that. The aim should not be to reach an arbitrary monetary goal, because variance in live poker is just so high that trying to reach a certain milestone in terms of dollars would just mean that you're gambling. Instead, try to improve your game incrementally, and the monetary wins will follow automatically in the long run. I'm not going to tell you to value bet thinly or to fold the river more often, because today the focus is on something much bigger. And that's why in this video I'm going to tell you 5 habits that you can work on to improve your poker game. My name is Andreas Wagner. I'm a professional poker player and live poker coach, and I'm not perfect at any of these, but I am planning to continue working on all of them this year. The first habit that you should adopt is one of the most powerful things you can do to improve your poker game. Just recently, I noticed its power again. I sat down to play at a 1-2 game, and there was this one player who looked familiar. I even remembered his name, and I knew that I had played against him a few times before. But what I couldn't remember was whether he was a good player or a nit or anything about his playing style really. Sure enough, after only about 10 minutes, I raised pocket jacks, and this guy 3-bet me, and I called. The flop came with 3 low cards. He now bet 2/3 pot, and I folded almost instantly. He turned to me and said, "Good fold," while he turned over pocket aces. It is a fold I would not have made under normal circumstances. Most opponents would fire a C-bet in that spot with hands like ace-king or king-queen or pocket tens. So why did I make such a quick fold then? Because I had consulted my previous notes I had taken on this player. They said total nit. Only 3-bets with aces and kings, and never c-bet bluffs. These notes saved me a significant amount of money. It paid off that I take note-taking very seriously. I tend to write down tendencies of every player I am likely to play with again. And not only that, I also take notes on hands that seem tricky. I then analyze those hands later at home to see if I made a mistake. So this is the first habit that will definitely improve your win rate long term. Take notes about opponents and hands that leave you confused. Okay, once you have those notes about hands that you played, what do you do with them? I remember I had a phase where I took loads of notes and then I ignored them because I was too busy and I preferred playing poker rather than analyzing those hands. Obviously, this didn't do much to improve my game. These days, I take it a lot more seriously. When I get home, I will go through the hands again. There are a few different ways to do it. One is to put them into a solver like GTO Wizard. By the way, if you want to get 10% off GTO Wizard, use the link in the description below. If it is a heads-up pot against a good-thinking opponent, this is a great way to strengthen your fundamental and theoretical game. But most of the time in live poker, the hands will be multi-way against weaker players, and the raise sizes will be much bigger than GTO suggests. This means that solvers are less useful for this type of scenario. Instead, the live poker AI assistant Vinton can be of help. Just type up how the hand went and ask it its opinion. It's completely free, and I also left the link to it in the description below. Alternatively, if you have a coach, ask them, of course, or post the hand in a forum and ask for other players' opinions. Whatever you do, try to get to a stage where you are less confused than you were at the beginning. So the second habit to crush live low stakes is figure out your biggest leaks and then do targeted studying. I just mentioned poker forums and suggested that you post hands there. But there is another way of improving with forums, and this is how. I'm not always a massive fan of these forums because often the decisions are super close and boil down to player tendencies, but they do have one important thing about them. If you read other players' posts, you will be forced to think about situations that you have not encountered yourself. If you're an online player who plays 8 tables at once, you will play so many hands that you will encounter all sorts of scenarios. But live poker moves super slowly. Even if you play 30 hours a week, there are only so many hands you will play. But if you read a hand in a forum and post your reply to it, you will grow exponentially. Because here is the deal. A player will have played boring hands for hours before this interesting hand occurred. You saved yourself all that boring time, and instead you get to talk about the interesting hand while only spending a couple of minutes on it. So make it a habit to block out a little bit of time every week, or ideally even every day, to reply to a couple of hands in a poker forum. The next habit is super important, but I will have to admit something. I am really bad at this. So I am making this my top priority for this year because I am aware that I have to improve in this aspect of the game. And chances are that you don't do this as much as you should either. Here is how I often deal with a tricky hand or a bad beat, and let me know in the comments below if you are the same. I leave the table after a session and go home. Then, on the way home, I will think about the hand, I might do some pot odds calculations, then I will have dinner, and while eating my cauliflower or whatever, I will still be thinking about the hand and whether I made a mistake. When I brush my teeth, I will still be thinking about it, and even in bed, I won't completely let go of it. It doesn't take a genius to figure out that that is not healthy. The more you ruminate about a hand, or anything really, the worse it is for your brain. It leads to burnout. So what's the solution? There are two things you can do. One, you can do a warm-up to get into the right state of mind before you play. Poker Mindset coach Dan Haskett shared this tip in an interview with me a few weeks ago.
The exercise I recommend is called Release Tension, Set Intention, which is very simple. You squeeze all the muscles in your body and you release. And you do that 3 or 4 times. And you've now primed yourself to change your state. So now you would say, okay, what are the 3 words I want to describe me in this session? It could be focused, it could be confident, it could be aggressive, it could be fearless. And so then you would close your eyes and simply imagine, what does it feel like when I am really focused at the poker table?
And the second thing you can do, have a cool down routine. Analyze your hands the way I suggested earlier, but only for a few minutes, and then reflect on how you played. Did you stick to your goals? What could you improve? And once you did that, you will have reached mental closure with the session. You'll see that if you acknowledge that you made a mistake or that you just got unlucky, you will find peace with the session much quicker. So make it a habit to warm up before and cool down after every poker session. The last session is not directly related to poker, but it is probably the most underestimated one. Because if you get into this habit, your win rate will improve more than if you study the game as such. Here's an example of a guy who lost a lot of money because he didn't follow this habit. But before I show it to you, please smash that like button to help me produce more content like this. Thank you. So here's the example. The guy had top pair in a hand where I rivered the nut flush. I bet the river big, he tanked for a while and then he called. He was pleased to see that his top pair won the hand, or so he thought, but then the dealer pushed the chips in my direction and he was confused. After the dealer told him that I had a flush, he said,
"Oh no, I didn't see that there was a flush on the board. I haven't slept in 36 hours and I'm totally exhausted."
He reloaded for £400, and then in the very next hand, he 5-bet jammed ace-10 offsuit, got called by pocket kings, and lost his entire stack. He lost 2 buy-ins within a few minutes because first he was too tired to notice a flush, and then because he got so angry that he just punted off his entire stack. This is an extreme example, of course, and maybe or hopefully this doesn't happen to you quite like that. But we all tilt. We all make mistakes because we are tired. Tilt and fatigue are huge bankroll killers. The amount of money players lose because of tilt and fatigue is unreal. So what can you do? There are lots of techniques for dealing with tilt at the table, but for me, the most important thing is what you do outside the poker room. Getting enough sleep, practicing yoga, doing meditation, or a targeted poker hypnosis like the ones you can find for free here on YouTube will no doubt improve your poker win rate in the long run. These 5 habits will get you a long way, but if you want some easy steps to improve your actual poker game fast, then this video is for you.